one of, if not the most iconic thing about Xenoblade 1 is the Monado. I mean, you literally see it when you boot up the game. It's on the box art. Like all promotional art, you see the Monado. And one of the Monado's main abilities is, giving Shulk to see into the future. And I gotta say, I absolutely love how they implemented it. Like everything about it, it just is super good. So I just kind of want to gush about how cool that feature is in like story and in like gameplay as well. So I guess I can start off with like gameplay. This is just a thing that Monosoft's just good at. Not necessarily a thing just with visions, but I love how they translate like story related things over to gameplay. Like you can look at Xenoblade 2 and how like they translate over how Blade's working in like cutscenes and they translate perfectly over into gameplay. This applies with Vision as well, where like, oh, Vision's using the story to see important story beats, and like if someone's about to die. Well, in gameplay when you're playing the game, Vision's used to, oh, someone's about to die, I better, change the future, use a Monado art. Which, also in gameplay, that makes Xenoblade 1 combat. If that Vision wasn't a thing, the combat, then I feel like it would be just a lot more kind of boring. Like, sure, you can have your fun with it, but then, like, once you experience, like, Xenoblade 2 and eventually Xenoblade 3 combat, Xenoblade 1 is just going to be like, yeah, this is kind of not as interesting. Also, another thing about Shulk having a vision, there's a skill that he has in his skill tree. It's, like, called a Glorious Future, I think. And it basically gives him full talent art when you have a vision, and you can skill link that with like a bunch of people. Like you can skill link that with like Melia, obviously Dunban, because like their talent arts take a while to fill up. If you want to be really mean, you could skill link that to Sharla, and yeah, that'd be great. But I find Xenoblade 1 combat a lot more enjoyable if I don't have Shulk in the party, like I'm not playing as him, or he's like a party member and I have to use a bar of the party gauge at least, like another resource I have to constantly have. So if I want to use a Monado art, because it's like more fun to like use like everyone's arts, normal arts, to counteract visions. Because like obviously you can daze an opponent to just shatter the vision instant, which is pretty easy. But like on super bosses or bosses that can't be dazed, or if they are dazed or toppled, they have spikes, then it's more fun to come up with like other strategies around it. Like, oh, they're about to use a really strong physical attack. Well, what if I use like summon earth to do less damage, and then maybe summon wind to like give them an evasion just in case they do dodge it. Or like the most dumbest thing ever, oh, Ryan's getting targeted and he's about to die, tell him to use Last Stand. He just doesn't die, he never will, because Last Stand is so stupid. Even though with that, I find that like a lot more fun, because like I have to come up with like more strategies and thinking on the fly like that with visions. I know probably a lot of people don't like getting vision after vision after vision, but I really do enjoy that, because like that's like the most fun thing about Xenoblade 1 combat, is like constantly like thinking on the fly like that. Or just, Xenoblade combat in general, you have to think on the fly like that. But with visions, like, it tells you what's gonna happen. I guess it is a bit slow, but like, I personally don't mind it, how like it shows you the animation of you dying. And obviously, it'd probably be better if it just put in the top right corner of like the vision, that gameplay doesn't get interrupted. And Visions of the Future doesn't play. But like, I personally really like Visions of the Future. Like, I like it a lot more compared to Time to Fight. So if it plays in like a just normal Time to Fight battle, I'm fine with that. Sometimes I may want to hear it over mechanical rhythm, but most of the time not really. And then You Will Know Our Names is just a no, let me hear that. And same goes with an obstacle in our path. But overall, Visions, I really do enjoy them in gameplay. Just like, changing the future. Even when like playing the game for the first time and having like the Monado arts and just playing a Shulk majority and just using each Monado art at the right time, that was really fun. Still enjoyable. That's not the main reason why I love Visions. I mean, it is a big reason, but I feel like the main reason is just how it works in the story. And God, it's just, they basically, the first vision you have in the game shows you so much. It like plays your blade did not cut deep enough, that iconic line. It shows you Melia, you see Sharla, you see I think you see like the prison island scene. I'm not sure on that. I can't remember exactly what happened in the video. There's like a lot of things that shows you, and it like feeds you all this information. And like first time playing the game, you just don't know like what just happened. Like you'll see Melia and you're like, oh, who's that? I like her. Who is that? I want to meet her. And then like Shulk's like, oh, it's nothing. And then like you kind of forget about it. And then you have like a vision again at the attack of a Colony 9, which that's definitely a cool moment when Shulk like takes them out. Like this time it's my turn. I feel like I really would have enjoyed this game like so much more if I didn't know about like Smash Brothers, and I feel like that's a lot of people because like everybody knew that Shulk was gonna get the Monado, and like he sees in the future because like that's again his moveset. I feel like those moments would have been a lot cooler. Like seeing that for the first time without knowing that would have been definitely a lot cooler. But I mean, still how they implemented it and still seeing it, like knowing that it's gonna happen and seeing it in gameplay, it was still a cool thing to happen. But like, I feel like my not expectations, but like first like reaction to that would have been like a lot more insane. And there's so many like visions throughout the game that like there's like the iconic like prison island scene when it shows you all that, and it just Xenoblade 1 is so good at like feeding you all this information and visions. I don't know if it's like foreshadowing is not the right word because it basically kind of tells you, but in a way it kind of is, and it shows you so much, and you just don't like get to like you have like context of the scene, but like when you get to the scene, it's like nothing what you expected. At least for me, it's just I love just how good at like storytelling they are with that. Even with like Xenoblade 1, because like technically, Xenoblade 1's the least like Xeno game. I really obviously only played Xenoblade 2 and eventually 3. Do you really want to go back and play Gears and Saga and Xenoblade X? But just it's really cool how like they just did that. Also, the reveal about visions and like how the Shulk has them in like chapter what is it, 16? I guess 16. It's just it's so cool because I guess I can kind of talk about that moment. I love because like most games, the main character always gets like the magic sword. Like for example, I've been bringing up Fire Emblem a lot now at these videos. Like 3 Houses, Byleth gets like the sword of because he's the main character. Which, I mean, 3 Houses is a different, not the best example. I guess let's go like Dragon Quest 11. Sorry, Fire Emblem. But like Dragon Quest 11, you literally get like the Sword of Light. You're like the main character and all of that, and it's just like all right, it makes sense. But like how they go around like Shulk getting the Monado and just how that's like Shulk's not really special. It's just Shulk was there at the time. Xenoblade 2 does the exact same thing where Rex was just there at the time and he was just a random Ethereum driver that they wanted. It's so good about that. I just love that they make that the twists and turns what they do with that, and just Vision helps out so much with it. And even with like Vision, because you would think, oh, Shulk can also see in the future, so like there's no tension. Oh, he'll save everyone, which is like not even true. People die. Literally, your first vision that you see is Fiora dying, and Shulk. Or now it's not true. The very first vision, but like one of the earliest visions Shulk gets, he can't even save them. It's just the tension with each vision. It's like when you see someone die in a vision, you're like, is it gonna happen? And it's perfect example with like Atharon and like this is for you. Perfect example because like you don't know if Atharon's going to die. And speaking of that whole scene, people like to bring up with Shulk that like, oh, why doesn't he tell everyone when he has a vision, which he eventually does. I feel like that's an important like early growth moment for Shulk, like character development, where like Ryan tells him and they have that whole moment in Aethermine, which that is like one of my favorite Ryan moments. I wish there was more like that. Like the next moment that's kind of similar to that is the Fallen Arm, I would say. There's probably another one. But then, like, after Dunban joins the party, Ryan becomes haha funny, which, I mean, that's still fine. Ryan's still great. Even, like, when he was, like, just Shulk and Ryan, he was still kind of haha funny with post-battle quotes. But those scenes with Ryan are really good. Also, ever since, I guess, Xenoblade 1 started this, like, tradition, I mean, I can't speak for X, maybe there is, but I kind of like how, like, Xenoblade 1 and 2 both have a vision-like thing, where, like, Vision obviously seeing into the future, and Foresight's basically a weaker version of that, but overall it applies to like multiple people. I mean, then again, Mythra literally saw 500 years into the future, which is like the biggest like vision like thing. Shulk, I guess, saw like a few weeks into the future, I guess, if you want to say that, or or Zanza, but like Mythra saw that much. But I'm kind of curious if Xenoblade 3 is gonna have something like that, a vision like thing. Like if, I don't know, like Off-Seers have that ability. Probably not. I guess like the main gimmick is definitely going to be Ouroboros, obviously, which I'm just glad from seeing from trailers and like just bits and pieces of gameplay that I've seen, that they're still translating story stuff into gameplay. So to close this off, visions are super cool. I'm glad they're in the game, and just generally a really cool feature, a really cool take of just having that, and just a very interesting way of storytelling.